Hey, what's going on, guys? So I just came home. It is my birthday. I went out to dinner with my wonderful wife, and as I'm trying to come in the door doesn't work. The key is freely spinning, and guess what? This comes out of it. Hang on, it's in my pocket here. This is the tumbler to my front door deadbolt. All right, so this came out of the door. Let's go ahead and inside take a closer look at things. So hang on a sec. All right, guys, so I am all settled in here. I can explain what happened there. So yeah, it was my birthday. I went out to dinner with my wife. When we got back home, I put my key in the lock. I went to go turn the lock, and the whole tumbler piece just came out. All right, so here's the lock face. So I put my key in, I went to go turn it, and this whole piece just pulled out halfway. All right, and as it pulled out halfway, you can see all these holes here where there were different pins and springs. They started shooting everywhere. I'm like, what's going on? So then I ended up grabbing this. I pulled the whole tumbler piece out. All right, so I'm not a locksmith, but if you guys have an understanding of basic, doorknobs and deadbolts, this is a deadbolt. So how it works, all keys, when you put a key into a lock, okay, I shouldn't say all, I'm sure there's some exceptions from different designs, but generally speaking, there's these different pins. And the reason your key has different teeth on it, it goes up and down, it's jagged, is because it's specific set of distances, so that when your key goes in, all these pins are even. And when all the pins are even, it allows it to rotate, right, and unlock something. That's the whole point. When you do lock picking, you're basically overriding a key and you're moving a piece back and forth, a lock pick, so that all these pins pop in place and they sit where they're supposed to be to allow it to rotate. So anyway, the tumbler came out. I'm like, well, what do I do now? Now, I keep my house extremely secure. Like, I have windows and doors, and I can't myself break into any of them. From the outside, I cannot break into my own house, okay? Now, that's done on purpose. It would be nice to be able to leave a window unlocked and maybe kind of, get on a ladder and crawl through a window or something like that. It's just not possible. I make my house secure so that no one can break in, but that also includes myself, right? So I don't have many options here. I have to, at this point, either, break a window, break the door, or call a locksmith. So my immediate reaction is, all right, well, let me call a locksmith, see what they can do. Now, I pull up on Google locksmiths by me. There's got to be 20 of them, and not a single one can help. Okay, not because of the situation. I didn't get far enough to even explain the situation. So that's my immediate reaction is like, okay, well, this is screwed. I can't get into my house. What am I going to do? Let me call a locksmith, right? So I one number after another. And by the way, this is 9 o'clock at night on like a Thursday, I think. So, I mean, it's not like it's 2 a.m. on a, Saturday night or Saturday morning or, Sunday morning. People should be available. But anyway, all the local people in Pennsylvania, when I say local, I mean like an hour away, an hour and a half away in Pennsylvania, not picking up their phone. I got a hold of one person who was supposed to call me back that did not. They were some kind of dispatch person, I suppose. I got a hold of people in New York, because I'm not too far from the border. So I started calling people in New York. And either, again, they just are not picking up their phone, it's going to voicemail or answer machines, or the people I did get basically said, you're just too far. It'd be like $150 just to come out. And then we, on top of that, it might be something else. And then certain people wouldn't even bother. It's just so far, they don't even want to give me a price. They're just like, no, you're just too far. I don't want to drive 2 hours each way, to help you out. So after, a few minutes on the phone, I kind of like, calm down a minute, because this is obviously very stressful. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now, right? So I calmed down for a second. I try to use some logic. I thought, all right, well, I have a broken lock. I'm sure there's some way that I can manipulate the lock now that it's broken to get in. So I started looking at my car. And the reason I'm making this video is this all revolves around being prepared. Now, I was not prepared for my deadbolt on my house to break. Okay, however, because I was prepared, I had all kinds of random tools in my car and all kinds of stuff, and I was able to get in. What I ultimately did, first I grabbed my, I always keep this SOG multi-tool in the car, which is fantastic, but I was unable to reach the part. So you have to imagine this is the piece on the front. This is still attached. All right, so this is my view. I'm looking through this hole, okay? And this obviously is the piece that came out. This is the tumbler piece, right? So this came out, I'm looking through the hole, and this is the piece that I need to manipulate. This is the piece that's actually, you know, inside the door, okay? Let me see if I can push this forward. This is the deadbolt. Hold on. Let me rotate this. There we go. Okay. So this piece is, you know, stuck inside the door jamb. What I need to do is I need to rotate this, okay? It's actually this way, I believe, because I rotate it the opposite way. Yeah. So it's like this. Now I need to get to this piece. This piece is that far away, you know. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at it through here, okay? So I have to get a distance of about that much in order to manipulate this piece enough to open it so I can get in. All right, so the multi-tool pliers were not long enough. Then I was going through my other stuff and I ultimately came up with this. So I have a sharpening rod. This is a tapered sharpening stone. I don't know if I jam this thing closed. Hang on. So I use a lot of pressure on this. All right, well, this thing is completely locked up. I'll play with this later, but anyway, so what you do, oh, that's why, because it broke the threads off. All right, so I ruined the tool, but I get another one of these. They're cheap, and actually sheared these threads off. So anyway, this is a double-sided sharpening stone. One side's tapered, you can get into serrated blades. The other side's flat, has a little spot there for like fishing hooks. But anyway, you put this on here, and then you tighten this little collar down. That's what actually tightens it, right? So I always keep different types of tape in my vehicle as well. So I have some Gorilla Tape. So what I did was I wrapped a little Gorilla Tape around here so that when I push this through, right, I was trying to get it to grab this little piece here, this mechanism, which I was able to eventually do, all right, so that I can manipulate it enough to get this lock in and out. Now, you can see as I'm rotating this, okay, that's what I eventually did. So it was in the door, I jammed it in there, and really just kept working it back and forth until it would grab enough to manipulate that lock. Okay, and ultimately that's how I was able to get inside the house. So I'm actually installing a new lock today. I'm actually doing a double lock. My front door, I have a lockable storm door, which I always keep locked. But on top of that, the actual door itself has, you know, a long handle on it. And that was just basically, you know, a handle. It didn't have a lock on it. So I just had the deadbolt. But now I got a system where it's two. So I have the deadbolt itself. Then I have a separate lock, which will have a separate key. All right. So I'm just kind of beefing up the security, even though I had a hard time breaking in myself. Now, of course, all locks are just a turn. So if you have someone who is motivated enough and educated enough, they can get into your house no matter what kind of security systems you have, whatever kind of barriers you have. But it's always good to make it a little bit harder for people, right? So even though I never had an issue before, I'm upgrading everything to make it even more difficult. And you know, if something fails again, I'll have to deal with it. I'd rather have a hard time getting into my house myself than other people having an easier time to get in. You know what I'm saying? Because like for a split moment, I thought like maybe I'll have one particular way I can always get in just in case, but that would be a weakness. So ultimately I decided not to. Although it would be extremely inconvenient, I'd have to go that route if something were to break in the future. But anyway, the point of the video here really is to say to be prepared, right? I had this tool, and then now I no longer have the tool since it's broken. Actually, I could probably still use this rod. I'll just have to, you know, oh, there we go. Let me get that off now. Is that me or just, oh, the piece is stuck underneath it, I forgot. All right, well, whatever. I had this tool, I was able to jimmy rig to get inside the house. Headlamp, I always have flashlights in the car. I actually start off with the flashlight that's on my keys, but I needed hands-free lighting. So guess what? I always keep a headlamp inside the car. This is a Through Night TH20. All right, had the tape to use with the tool to make a new tool. You know, never actually needed the multi-tool here, but I have that in the car as well with bits, all kinds of stuff. So that's the point of this video, is to be prepared. Now, you can't prepare for everything. As much as I prepare for stuff, there's always going to be situations that just weren't thought of. I never in a million years thought that the tumbler would break out of my deadbolt, you know, but because I prepared for other random things, I was able to MacGyver enough to get in the house. All right, so I didn't have to break a window or break a door that would be very expensive to replace. So, you know, there's two lessons here to be learned. Number one, it's just good to have tools, all kinds of tools for whatever reason. And number two, it's good to just try to stay calm in a stressful situation, because it definitely, you know, went through my mind within the first couple minutes. I might have to break a window, you know, break the door, whatever. But when I kind of cleared my head a little bit and tried to be reasonable about it and really thought about the situation, you know, because my initial reaction, I wasn't thinking, okay, well, I can manipulate this lock. I was just thinking I'm screwed. That's it. So stress sets in, your brain gets a little foggy, you start thinking extreme sometimes, you know. Breaking a window is a more extreme, you know, way to get in the house than trying to use what's here, you know, to get in. And ultimately, it was not that hard at all. It really was not difficult. It just took, you know, a basic tool and a little bit of thinking. So anyway, that's all. I figured to make this video just to, you know, share my experience, which is what I'm always doing here on YouTube. It was a crappy situation, but it was easily resolved because I happen to have some random tools in my car. All right, so when people ask me, like, why do you have all this crap everywhere? Well, for just such an occasion, right? You just never know what you're going to need. So anyway, that's all. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.